Gormaigat Cahirlock, and I want to thank the deputies for bringing forward this important piece of legislation, and it gives us a good opportunity to have a discussion not just about pensions in general but about a specific group of former workers, and has been pointed out already they might be former workers but they most definitely are not former voters. I have some experience of dealing with occupational pension schemes from my previous employment, and one of the things that always struck me is that it's very, very tough to get people interested in the pension scheme when in being trustees or being active in the pension scheme when they're 25, because they think retirement might never happen, or it happens to other people, or it's just not something that really interests and excites people. Unfortunately, for an awful lot of pension schemes, the only time when people get seriously interested is when they're actually looking at retirement, and so therefore there can sometimes be a disproportionate focus on a group of workers that are nearer to retirement, which can have a detrimental impact on both the retirees, deferred pensioners, and indeed younger workers. So I would like to use some of my time just to encourage any person who has an occupational pension scheme in their workplace to take the time to get involved in it, not to wait until they're close to benefiting from it, but actually to take the time. And I suppose I come from a trade union and an activist background, and one of our mantras or our mottos was always nothing about us without us, and yet we have groups of pensioners, former workers who have decisions taken. Like, it's not just decisions taken about their pension scheme, it's decisions taken about the money that they have. So these are people who are on a fixed income, and the decisions that are taken from which they are excluded. And as we can see from the level of support from the various associations, they want to be included as part of this process. They want to be actively involved, but they are effectively excluded. And these workers, they don't have a choice. So everything about them is without them, because they have no say. They are absolutely voiceless. And yet they are impacted by those decisions that are taken. Now, I take it from the Minister's speech that there is, at the very least, recognition on the part of the government that this situation needs to be addressed. What I don't understand is why there is a need to kick this down the road. Actually, taking the legislation as it is now, and Sinn Féin support it, that's not to say that we wouldn't be proposing amendments to strengthen it, or indeed that we wouldn't want to work with the sponsors to ensure that any issues that might arise can be addressed. But the idea now that the government are saying, yes, we have an issue, but we need a year to think about it. Surely that time would be more productively spent engaging with this legislation, amending it as necessary, having that debate, having the opportunity at committee to invite in the retired members, to give them a voice, because they don't have a voice, and that's the debate we're having here this morning, is to give them that voice and give them that opportunity to be involved in what is essentially their income, their own income, the money that they rely on to buy their groceries and to pay their rent in some cases, and indeed their mortgages, and to keep the body and soul together, etc. So, I don't understand why, and it is a pattern, and the government know this. The opposition suggests something, the government say, well, yeah, that'd be the right thing to do, but let's not just do that right now. Let's just wait. So everything is either not opposed but not supported, or kicked down the road for a year. And I appreciate that. And I read in the paper, the same as everybody else did, the discussions that took place at one of the parliamentary parties for the government parties, where they said they didn't want to be known as the nasty party. But this isn't going to help that, because these retired workers, they're not stupid. They read the papers, they'll be watching this debate, they see what happens. So the government say, yes, we need to do something, but we're just not going to do it now. I would encourage the government to withdraw their amendment. I would also encourage any retired workers who are members of an occupational pension scheme to engage with the TDs in their area who are opposing this, because effectively, if you're kicking it down the road, that's what you're doing. You're saying not now. To engage with them and to encourage them to support it, and also to make their voices heard, because this piece of legislation addresses stresses the fact that their voice is absent from a very, very important aspect of their life. So once again, I thank the deputies for bringing forward this legislation. Sinn Féin will be supporting it, and I would encourage the government to withdraw their amendment. Gormagat.